I suffered for so long, just kind of privately, that
Oh my gosh.
I was looking for anything to grab hold of. And I knew I was gonna hurt no matter what, if I was laying in the bed or if I was just walking around the house, and I was just ready to turn all that pain into some kind of purpose. I knew that the Lord put me here for a way bigger reason than laying in that bed. If I could make all of this worth something, I owed that to myself. I was diagnosed with palindromic rheumatism. The physical part, that it really was severe in that it would, when it affects joints, when I tell you I was paralyzed, it just wouldn't move. I couldn't move. It has been the one pain that, honestly, if it kept going the way it was, that I'd beg the Lord that I didn't want to continue like that. I've had 3 or 4 shoulder surgeries where they tightened the shoulder up, and that was really my first experience with getting cut on, and it was also my first experience with pain medicine, which led me down a different path also.
When Joey first started getting sick, mostly I was just nervous and scared because we didn't know what it was. And he was hurting really bad, not just his back, but his whole body. He had back problems since he was like 21, like really bad back problems. But then like his thumb would hurt and it would be really swollen and hot and red, and if you touched it, it hurt really bad. And then his knee would hurt, and then his hip would hurt, and then his big toe would hurt. And we just didn't know really what to think, and so we started seeing different doctors. And first it was really scary because they thought it was lupus, and thought it was MS, and then one doctor thought it was gout, and so we just couldn't really find the answers that we needed to give us an idea of what was actually going on and what we would need to prepare for, really.
She was scared to death. Laddie was scared to death when all this was happening. I could see it in her face and her eyes that she didn't know what was going on either. And I didn't know if I was going to die, neither did she. And to have to take the brunt of taking care of me, which was a lot of full-time job. Her and my middle daughter, Riley, were my primary caretakers. To see what it did to her mentally was tough. And she was always so kind to me. I hated to see them hurt, and I hated to see them watch me hurt like that. It was embarrassing. It was stuff I wasn't proud of, and they've seen me completely broken.
Coming over me in my phone. Southern breeze coming down on me. I can feel it washing over me. Take me to the place I'd rather be. Away from here, away from me.
When it got to the point that he couldn't go to work, we were trying to cut different costs out and just be as careful with our money as we could. He was definitely the majority of the income, and so that's scary because we already had 3 little girls. We had recently built our house, and so we had a house payment, 3 kids, cars, all of that. That was scary. We ended up using all of our savings, and so that's when I picked up, we had an after-school program that you could teach after school, so I did that 4 days a week, and then I got my CDL to drive a bus. So I drove a bus, taught school, taught after school, and then also drove the after-school bus route. So when I had to kind of pick up the slack a little bit on being able to pay bills and cover all of our expenses, just made me feel a lot of pressure and like it was kind of all on my shoulders.
When you go from, a 6-figure income making nothing, not only could I not move my body, I couldn't make any money. So everything that I thought that made me a man, I couldn't do anymore. I couldn't move, I couldn't take care of my family, and then it had no clue on how to move forward. I keep thinking of one instance that pops out in my head every single time that grounds me and lets me know what's important is that I was in rehab, and I had my oldest daughter, I think was 2 years old. They were coming for a visit, and I just kept replaying the scene in my head that little girl, that blonde-headed beautiful kid would run into that room and not recognize me and not know who her dad was. And I'm grateful for that feeling still, because it keeps me where I need to be at. That was an important moment for me.
He went from being really athletic, he's always been really good at any sport that he's tried to do, anything physical, running, lifting weights, jumping, anything. And so I was really worried about the toll that would play on him, because that would be hard for anybody, and especially someone that was as active as him. And he would teach the girls how to golf and play with them outside, and we would go on more trips and do things like that when he was able to, and then that all kind of stopped. And so my biggest concern there was probably his mental health, more even so than his physical at that time.
In 2019, I started getting this, what I call a call from the Lord. It's nothing less than that. And it was very clear. And he said, "Joey, go buy a guitar. You'll know how to play it, and go lead worship."
When he first came to me and said that he thought he was supposed to get a guitar, that had been just on his mind constantly, and he had been praying, and his relationship with God had just gotten so much stronger that I knew that if he felt like God was saying, buy a guitar, then it's what you do. And so luckily he found a guitar that was only $100, so that was good. And he bought it, and at the time he was having a lot of trouble with his hands, bending them, moving them. They were red and swollen, and once he picked it up, he just never put it down, like, ever. He plays all the time. So our house is never quiet. He's usually playing the guitar, or now also the piano. So I told him I was good with it as long as he didn't try the drums. So, yeah. That's where I draw the line, yeah.
Within a few days, I could play the guitar, and I knew my fingers would move, and they would work, and I was amazed. And even to this day, it's almost 5 years later, I can't believe what happened. I can't believe that I actually got a call that said, "Go buy a guitar, you'll know how to play it." I've never played a guitar, I never owned a guitar. And to hear that call again from the Lord that just prompt, go do this, go do it, it'll work. And doing it, and it works, and that builds faith like crazy when you can experience that in your own life.
He called me one day, and we started talking, and said, "Come out, let's hang out. Let's come out and start hanging out." He showed up with a guitar, and I asked him, "What's up with this?" "Well, I've got into music, and I've started writing songs." And he and I sitting in our man cave, and he opens up his case and says, "This is some original music that I wrote. I want to play for you." And I'm sitting like, "Okay." And as he started playing those songs, and they were faith-based songs, and I was just absolutely astonished, amazed, because this is a guy that I didn't know which had ever picked up a guitar in his life, and now he's here writing music and singing songs. It was amazing.
Heaven rain down on me.
In 2021, I started making coming up here on Mount Magazine a part of my weekly routine. You know, I came up here and I realized how much freedom I had mentally and how just clear my mind was and how I could think better. So I would come up here just with the goal of walking a trail, cane in hand, walking a trail. And then I started going, you know what? I want to bring my guitar up here and go and sing praise music on the side of the mountain.
There's a place over the mountain that I would like to go. A place below the treetops nobody really knows.
Once I stopped kind of doubting that yeah, I was able to do this kind of stuff now, he started putting this poetry in my head. He started putting words together that I'd not thought of. He started giving me a perspective on my life where I could sing about it. And it was real funny that every time I'd have my guitar out singing, I would always run into people. They would come to these weird places that I was at. And more than once they would go, we could just feel the Lord. And I was like, God, me too. Come on. And it really helped open up people to me where they would tell me their stories. And I realized, you know what? We're all so alike. We all have our mountains we're going up. And most of the time we feel alone. But we are not alone. Man, there's so many of us that are going through the same stuff. And if we can just get us together and realize that we're not fighting any of this alone, there's power in that. And what that did is spur us on, and that accelerated from 2021. And 2 years later, we started what's called Meet Me on the Mountain. And it's our ministry where we do free praise and worship nights here up on top of Mount Magazine and enjoy the outdoors and what the Lord has put in front of us.
Meet Me on the Mountain was really the first way he wanted to reach out to other people and just meet on the mountain where he feels God's presence and share that with other people. So we decided to go ahead and put it on. And so the first one, we weren't sure how many people would even show up, but there was a really good crowd, and people were very receptive and very positive, and it went really well. And so that was really good to see that something that he had worked that hard on had worked and had made an impact on other people.
I'm gonna take you for a ride, a little bit on the wild side.
I got a very specific message what helped me really change my mind frame. And I would pray all the time, Lord, just heal my body. Would you just heal my body, please? And then he would always answer he started answering with a question. He would go, what are you doing to heal your body? What are you doing to heal yourself? That little cue, that little voice that was in here that kept telling me that. And when I listened to it and realized, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've got this mighty God that can heal all things, but I'm also capable of changing things. I'm also capable of taking a little bit of action and trying to get better. And so that's what I'm striving to do. I'm just striving to get my body a little bit healthier, my mind, and spread that joy that he's put in me.
Joy's running races now. From where he was at before, he couldn't, his back, his problems, and now this guy is running the hiking trails on Mount Magazine, some of them 10 miles long, and like he's 20 years old, so he's definitely came a long, long ways from the person that could hardly go from day to day with all of his back pains and all of his problems. I mean, now he's running races like a kid again. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
I woke up this morning, and I woke up thinking it was going to be hard to get around, but luckily I didn't really go to sleep last night, so my body was still awake, I think. And so, I think I'm ready. I got praise music going in my ear, and I'm so grateful just to be able to get to do this. And so, I can't wait to have fun and see if I can finish.
I look out over Tappawash Creek. One of my best friends me. Watching the moon rising up behind the peaks. God, you've been so good to me.
Every step I take hurts, but every single time I'm just thankful I can do this. I'm thankful that I can run. Couldn't walk before, I can run now. I've been to more drug rehabs and mental institutes than I can name. I've broken more bones, had more surgeries than I care to explain. I've had a messed up head, messed up mind, but God started making some changes in my life. It would give me an opportunity, whether I'm in front of 100 people or 30,000 people. And I promised him long ago, Lord, every time I'm on the stage, I'm going to give you glory and say, look, I couldn't do this before, but I can now. And I'm going to let people know how it happened, and it can happen for anybody. And that should give everybody some hope.
Brad leaned over and said, it's not about the life you take, whoa, but the lines that you say, hey, that's country wild.
Meet me on the mountain. I want people to come up here, and I want them to be able to experience that and to experience the presence of God that maybe they've not lately. Because in the end, I do want to help people climb those mountains and celebrate with them and help them. We all have our mountains we're climbing. We all feel like our valleys are the deepest ever. But just know there's a hand right there. Turn your pain into purpose and spread joy through your journey. You are built for so much more than you can imagine. Have that faith and take that step, and God will catch you.